But um, I want to start this off with talking about the last few degrees in Saturn and Pisces. So I had came across this video of this girl referring to Pisces placements in this season that we have Saturn and Pisces, and how I perceived this experience with this transit is the people that need structure in building things out of nothing. So those resources that you believe are not valuable, or you only have this much and you really need this much to execute a goal, this is where um, the you know how when you go to a workshop or you go to a class and you have to work with a limited amount of skills before you reach the level, a limited amount of resources and tools before you get to class 2 and 3, and that means you have to pay for those things. You have to improvise with what you have now in order to be able to reach class 2, class 3, and class 3. 4. So as you're building in class 1 and you're in the introduction to that stage, that's how I think of Pisces with the Saturn transit, where we are approaching the late degrees of Pisces, where we're leading into maturing through this sign and understanding the core lesson of this planet in this sign, and how you have to build your skills before you believe that this could actually happen. The belief and faith that all the work that you're doing is going to result to something that is useful is going to be like the normal response to life when you actually are building something. However, right now, as we build in this era right now, we see that there's changes happening, and it's only like a limited amount of changes that we're able to see. Although there are huge changes happening among the collective in our personal relationships, professionally, educationally, and as a societal whole, we are going through changes. So, what I started to think about with this transit when it came to structuring your imagination, you have to believe in some part of your not just your way of thinking, but you have to believe in something before it's considered valuable. And I feel like there was this girl who was talking about Pisces energy, and she was referring to a specific person in her life that had to innovate a presentation. And when that presentation was receptive from everybody else, they were like, oh, I now didn't know that those rules applied for this task. So that's where I feel like you have to improvise. You have to see what will work, what won't work, what is going to have a little bit of acceleration, and then you might have to fall back and up with new plans. Like that is what I think of Saturn and Pisces, because you have to exhaust all options. That's how I'm feeling, because right now we're in that moment where we have to see exactly what tools that we currently have and we currently possess that are going to be useful in the upcoming seasons. Now we have to align that with what society already needs. And these things, these areas of life that we're like avoiding and not really trying to have as like our first idea, we have plan A, plan B, plan C, D, like all of those things. You have to work with plan A, because you don't know when plan B, C, and D are going to be valuable information. That may be too far ahead to where you are right now. And there's a part of some some pieces of content that I came across where you have to allow yourself to be around people who are actionable, they are goal oriented, than people who wish to have goals. And I like that concept behind the wisher, because we all believe that there are limitations when it comes to manifesting. Sorry, I'm drinking my coffee. I need to. There are some limits when it comes to manifestation, and there's portions of us believing in a specific goal and then knowing that it's going to require a different persona to execute that goal. We have to morph into that person to become the person who executes that goal. This is where the introspective aspect of your imagination needs to be nourished. And this is where your imagination and your subconscious mind fall hand in hand. And that's Pisces energy. So you have to know that you have more than one way to execute a plan to get a goal. And that's where Saturn and Pisces is making us really, 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 really utilize all of the resources and skills and talents that we've always had in a chamber that we probably neglected. We didn't feel was necessary. We didn't think that was going to make us money. All of those things are necessary. Right now, we're walking into an educational realm where people need to be educated on the little stuff. The little stuff that people don't want to talk about, people need to be educated on. It's the very I don't know if minute is the right word, but there's very small aspects of reality that go over people's head and they don't know the knowledge that's on that timeline. And if you know it, you should probably be selling it. You should be giving out more than one tip or tool for that information that you have, and that could be the free work. These are areas of life where we're being able to dibble and dabble in our own resources to see what's useful. And there's another part of this. I wanted to make it not so quick, but still get to the point. There's a part of society where everybody is discussing whether or not having a boyfriend is embarrassing. This is not about that. However, the topic of that, having a good person around you, needless to say, it doesn't have to be a boyfriend, but the company you keep needs to be something that you have a mutual attraction to. You both benefit from the relationship. That is where we're going now. We can't just have friends to have friends. Those days of having friends just to have friends are over. People need companionship. They need help. They need resources. They need alliances. This is where we're leading into. So the concept that I have behind that frequency of the people that you keep around you, the purpose of that person is their quality of contribution to the relationship. That's where I'm going to say. That's besides the article, but that's the root of where we're going. If you're going to have a partner, the quality that that partner contributes to the relationship ought to be useful. That's very simple. If not, it's a complete embarrassment, which is extremely true. Now, that goes for people, that goes for partnerships, that goes for friends, that goes for alliances, all the above. Now, I want to switch to the next part because these people affect your imagination and you being able to build this whole, I may have a resource offer for this that I don't really know. You got to test it out. And those people into your life and start to combat your plans if they are not giving quality contribution to your relationship. So now I want to go to this other form of content or piece of content that I came across where somebody had said that there's people who believe that they deserve things. That's where they get the things that they deserve. Now, hold on. There was way more context to this. This was in like a negative connotation. So I don't want to really make it a part of that. But people who believe that they deserve things, whether it's valid, whether it's rational, in their being, in their state of consciousness, in their level of understanding and reality, they believe they deserve this. So they're going to go take it. Now, whether that is rational or not defeats the purpose. Reality, the universe responds to people who believe they deserve something and they act on it. Now, resonating with your frequency means to believe, to decide, and to participate on that timeline to manifest your goals and desires. Now, when people say that I have limiting beliefs, we all have them in some way, some way, sort of form. However, the limiting beliefs need to be teachable, understandable, and I would say flexible, because all of these limiting beliefs stop the frequency from aligning and magnetizing towards the experience you wish to have. So this goes back into the wisher. The wisher, oh my God, I wish I had this. I wish I was able to do this. I wish I had those qualities. You can embody those qualities. The only thing standing between the wisher and their goal is the confidence and the choice to commit. That's why it remains a wish. That is why it will always be a limiting belief. So I believe that there's a lot of people that are going to use the I wish, I wish, I wish when it comes to Pisces energy. And as we're in Saturn and Pisces, we have to form our talents from now before we walk into the identity and we think we have lackluster resources. So the other part of frequency recognition for yourself, there's a part of like this whole form of limiting beliefs that we would prefer to align ourselves with and not have to try. There was another person that stated that not everybody wants to be a business owner. Those two things of being a wisher and not wanting to be a business owner puts you in a category. The things that you're not willing to do puts you in a category. And you have to be okay with putting yourself in the category once you realize the limitations that you've placed on yourself. Although being a business owner is a lot more responsibility than being somebody who works for someone. Although you kind of it levels out the same amount of responsibility in other ways. However, if you're not going to be the boss, you have to be okay with being delegated information and tasks to do. Whether now it becomes overwhelming, now you don't feel like doing it, life gets in the way, all of these things, chuck it up to you don't want to be a business owner, so now this is your task. And this is where I feel a lot of people have to choose their boss. Don't let your boss choose you. You have to choose your boss. Who do you want to work for? Who do you want to align yourself with? This is where your choice of uh being a quality contribution to your relationship plays a huge part. This is where all of these things I've been feeling and thinking about for a long time, but Saturn really puts structure together for you. Saturn will literally put you in a situation where you have to now transform your reality to structure. You will be in situations where it is trying you and your flexibility has been worn thin, and now you need structure. This is where all of these things come together. So if you have a boss that's a wisher and you okay with being under a boss that's a wisher, just a wisher, they have a whole bunch of limiting beliefs. The company can't get this, you can't get this. Now now you're being affected by their limited thoughts. These are areas of life where we have to kind of pay attention to, know that are there, and then we have to move forward accordingly. So as we see that the frequency that we're supposed to align with is blocked by commitment, a decision, and constant action, you have to know what part of yourself is being affected by you taking those actions. Now, most of the time it's our inner child believing that we don't have what it takes to do whatever it is that we don't want to do or we believe is limited. There's a part of us that doesn't want to allow the responsibility to be solely on if we mess up, how do we recover? The best, your best has yet to come because you haven't tried. So your best will be your fuck up until you try again, and your best will be the most recent plus your fuck up. If you only understood exactly how much effort it does take to participate when you're already scared, you see how much leeway you have to learn and grow. So after learning that your magnetizing energy should be aligning with something that you naturally want to do and you're willing to fail at it in order to learn more, because that's the only way we grow is if we participate, learn from what we participated and give it effort to, and then growing from what we learned. So at the end of everything that we go through, we do have a report card. Those things are now the things that justify your limiting beliefs, the things that justify that you probably shouldn't do it, the things that justify you're a loser, the things that justify you're a winner, the things that justify all the things that you actually know that you're capable of doing, but you don't want to put that much effort in. All of those things start to justify everything that we don't want to do. So how I'm looking at it is, if you do take that opportunity with Pisces energy and Saturn for this transit, you are going to dissolve the first time that you did it until it just becomes a memory. It's pushed to the back. All the times that you tried past that first time, it dissolves the first time that you've ever done it. So you have more proof of experience of dealing with that task and seeing what roadblocks you did encounter and how you can approach that, maneuver through it, fix it, and give it a refining definition to what you got going on in your journey, and then moving forward. So a lot of people don't have to be the business owner, but you also have to pay attention to who your boss is. You're gonna meet a lot of lackluster bosses before you convince yourself that you're able to be a business owner. So I will say that this is what I really wanted to get off and I really wanted to talk about, because there's more to the limiting beliefs that we don't allow ourselves to explore, but the confidence and the choice to decide to commit and give constant action to learn, grow, and refine your process, you'll never have a prototype if you don't do those things. Those things are a part of the journey in order to quote unquote grow or even manifest. So I just wanted to say that to you guys.